Welcome to Money Talks, a weekly feature on FM 93.5 The Berg and WMEG AM 740. Today we will talk just a little bit about money, maybe some of the things you can do with it, how it can impact your life, some ideas on financial planning and investing, and getting the most out of the money you hope to have, already have, or want to pass down. So sit back, relax, listen, and maybe take some notes, as you may have some questions by the time we're done with this edition of Money Talks. Good morning, Dan Joss. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. Hey, welcome back to Money Talks. I hope you're ready to give us some good information on retirement, is it, that we're going to talk about today?
Yes. We talked recently about the 3 legs of retirement income stool.
Some people don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to retirement.
and that's bad news for them.
That is bad news. And a 2-legged stool doesn't work very well either, does it?
No, there's personal savings, Social Security, and usually a employer plan of some sort. And so today we're going to talk about that, the employer retirement plan.
Okay.
Old school was pensions, and there are still a few pensions around. Federal pensions, municipalities, some corporate pensions, although those have mostly gone by the wayside.
Okay. Corporate pensions gone by the wayside. Why is that, you think?
Well, it's hard to make a promise that sticks for an unknown amount of life. And if you have a bunch of employees that are now retired that you're paying for many years, it gets expensive. And so the first step that corporations did was stop cost of living allowance increases.
Okay.
And now they're paying out.
Right.
Some municipalities are having problems also, where the tax base is going away, but they have these big, what are now unfunded promises to retirees.
Okay. Unfunded promises. That doesn't sound like a good thing right there at all.
In 2010, Pew Research did a study that in 2000, slightly more than half the states had fully funded pension systems. In 2006, that number shrunk to 6 states.
Wow.
So in 2008, there's only 4 states with fully funded pensions. So a pension is going by the wayside.
Yeah. It sounds like it's probably a good thing that it's going by the wayside since they're not properly funded.
Right. So what they've done is they've put the responsibility on the employer now.
Okay.
So we have defined contribution plans like a 401k or 403b for the nonprofit sector where the employee puts their own money into the plan. Sometimes they're matched by the employer, where if I put in $100, the employer also puts in $100.
Okay.
So that they're not cutting off their help or assistance in the retirement plan, but in some way they're incenting people to save for 30 or 40 years from now.
Okay. All right.
So that's good. If you want to have more money in retirement, then you save more during your career.
Well, that makes good sense. All right, so pensions are going away, so that's one of the legs. And what are the other 2 legs?
Social Security.
Social Security.
And personal savings.
And personal savings, okay. Social Security, rock solid. Everybody should be able to rely on that and live well like a king or something?
Well, I think it is rock solid in that it won't go away. I think it may be changed or updated or made less generous. But we can talk about that next time.
Okay. All right.
And also then personal savings. And so to keep the 3-legged stool alive, you shouldn't assume that your personal savings is your retirement savings. So you want to save in addition to what you're saving through your employer.
Oh.
Because the 401k savings or the retirement savings that you're doing as the defined contribution plan is replacing the pension.
Defined contribution plan. That sounds complex.
It is, but people know what a 401k is. And
that's the same as a defined contribution plan.
That's right. It's just the tax. Or the legal part of the plan.
Okay. Well, that makes good sense. So the employer-sponsored retirement plans, you referred to that as a 401k, but are there other types of them out there?
3B is typical for schools or nonprofit organizations like hospitals and the like. Smaller employers may not have those, but they'll have maybe a SEP IRA or a simple IRA or if you're a solo business owner, you'll have a 401k for yourself, and it's just a solo 401k. The fees are less expensive than a big plan that needs lots of administration.
Okay, so it almost sounds like a 401k is the same as an IRA.
It is.
It is.
But the IRA is for an individual, and so anyone, that wants to can open up an IRA and save for their own retirement. A 401k is sponsored by your employer.
Okay.
And so it's a different part. So you can't say, oh, my employer doesn't have a 401k, I can't save for my retirement. Well, you can. You use your IRA or
But
a
you could
Roth
say
IRA.
your employer doesn't pay you enough to save for retirement.
Well, they'll pay you 100%, and so you have to save part of that. So
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So
And a 401k usually, and I'll just lump all of those retirement plans together, is the employer will say, here is a plan, or if you're an employer, you would hopefully create one of these for the benefit of your employees to encourage them to start saving for their retirement.
Okay.
You can match those. You'll have choices of investments in your 401k. So some stocks and bonds or real estate or other types of investments. Many plans, just to make things simpler now, have one of two types of main types of investments. One is a retirement date fund, where if I have a retirement date fund of the year 2050, it would have a certain mix of stocks and bonds, and then the closer I get to that retirement date or that 2050, the more conservative it gets on your own. So you just have to fund weekly or bi-weekly or how often you get paid, and the manager of that fund will tweak the stocks and bonds within the fund so that it becomes conservative over time. The other time is just an asset allocation fund where it's set at half stocks and half bonds, and as time goes by they rebalance it back to that half stocks and half bonds allocation. But there's scores of different kinds of those. The idea is save, and if you get an employer match, that gets saved automatically, and then the more you save and the more often you save, the better your own pension will be in retirement.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a nice little synopsis there of one leg of the three-legged retirement stool.
Good. That's what it's designed to be.
All right. Well, good stuff. Well, Dan Joss, we appreciate you being in here today. We're going to talk about some more good stuff in a week or so. And any closing thoughts that you want to share with our listening audience?
Today, it's sign up for an employer-sponsored plan if you have one. Not everyone does, and they should take advantage of that. And if you're an employer, then consider opening an employer-sponsored plan for your employees.
Okay. Good stuff. How can somebody reach you if they want to?
757-903-2127.
Got a website?
jossfinancial.com.
Awesome. All right. We thank you for being here on Money Talks.
Thank you.
Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.